Once again, Diane Sawyer and George Stephanopoulos.
And we are so glad to be back, and we have our team of analysts standing by here. I want to go straight to ABC's Jake Tapper. So, Jake, give me your headline on what happened tonight.
Well, I think we were all waiting to see if any of the other candidates were going to be able to lay a glove on the frontrunner here and the frontrunner in South Carolina, according to recent polls, former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney. And although there were some moments where the rivals hinted that maybe they would be willing to discuss some things in Romney's past that they weren't happy with, there weren't really any attacks. There weren't really any effective contrasts, any arguments as to why this frontrunner should not be the frontrunner. That's one of the big questions here. Should this guy be the nominee? And if not, why should you be? And I didn't see any of the rivals really effectively make the case. They made cases for their candidacy, but it was almost as if they weren't aware that Mitt Romney was the front runner, and they weren't aware that Mitt Romney had won Iowa, was far ahead of the polls here, and likely to wrap this nomination contest up quickly if somebody didn't step up. We all have been looking to see if Rick Santorum, who had a successful time in Iowa, if he would be able to fill this role of the conservative alternative to Romney. And he had a decent night. He made a case for himself, but he didn't explain why him and not Mitt Romney. So I have to say, I think it was a pretty good night for the
David Muir, there's no question Governor Romney wanted to talk mostly about President Obama tonight. He had that chance. They've got to be feeling pretty good.
I got to tell you, the Romney camp already reacting, George, to this debate, saying Mitt Romney stayed big and he won big. This is what they're going to push in the next 24 hours. As Jake points out, won Iowa. He's already leading here substantially. And what's most encouraging to the campaign, George, as you know, is this 10-point lead in South Carolina, a state with social conservatives. But Mitt Romney continuing to push jobs in the economy, even in South Carolina, traveling there, as you know, very confident this week, confident enough about New Hampshire to go to South Carolina for 24 hours. And the people we talked to on the ground there, the voters, consistently said that while some of those other issues are important, that jobs and economy are issue number one. He's stuck to that here tonight. I've got to say, one thing that struck out to me, the big picture, and Jake talked about this, there weren't any direct knockouts that we were expecting for someone who's not only a front runner, but ahead significantly heading into this New Hampshire primary. At one point, Diane asked Jon Huntsman to follow up to an answer that he gave about trust in Wall Street and being commander-in-chief. She said, are you speaking about anyone particular up on that stage? And Jon Huntsman said, well, I'll let them speak for themselves. I think when you're trying to take the front runner down, you don't say, let them speak for themselves, and that speaks for the debate tonight.
Matthew Dowd, were you surprised by that?
I was very surprised by that. You know, when you look at these campaigns, you always look at what the trajectory is coming in. And we had an Iowa caucus where Mitt won barely by 8 votes, and he was on an upwards trajectory. All the national polls he's moving on, and you would think, and the Mitt Romney folks, if you talk to him coming in, they thought they were going to get ready for their first real battle in this. And to me, the moment in this campaign is actually the moment that didn't happen, which was you expected all these people to take on the front runner, figure out a way to stop that trajectory, and somebody, Rick Santorum, somebody to consolidate the non-Mitt Romney vote in this campaign. That didn't happen. So when you watch the first part of this, it wasn't until it was like a 15-round fight into the 14th round, somebody finally figured out, oh my God, we're behind by points. Maybe we better hurry up and catch up. And when they finally started to do it, but that was the big, I think, moment in this campaign, was the lack of ability by the other candidates in this race to do what the Romney people were expecting them to do, which was take him on.
Before we get to our Republican and Democratic analysts, let me turn to Jon Karl. John, you know these candidates as well as anybody. What do you make of this?
Well, look, I think this was a moment where Mitt Romney took a big step towards winning the Republican nomination. And it was astounding that they didn't want to do anything to take him on. I mean, Newt Gingrich started to, Diane. Newt Gingrich brought up Romney's experience at Bain Capital, and there is a brutal video out there that has been put out by supporters of Newt Gingrich, and he didn't distance himself from it. But what was amazing to me is he cited the New York Times. I mean, the New York Times, to the audience that's going to be voting in these primaries, I mean, that is not a source that would be trusted, okay? I mean, you know, love the New York Times, but that's not who Republican voters in these primaries are going to be looking towards.
And John, you cover Ron Paul every day as well. He seemed much more interested tonight in holding down Rick Santorum.
Isn't it amazing, George? I mean, Ron Paul has been a one-man wrecking crew in this whole process. He took out Rick Perry, he took out Newt Gingrich in Iowa, and now he was the most effective in attacking Santorum. Who's the one guy that Ron Paul hasn't attacked? He hasn't laid a glove on Mitt Romney. I think that when, you know, if Mitt Romney gets the nomination, he's going to need to give a big thank you letter to Ron
Deputy
Paul.
Campaign Manager Ron Paul.
I actually have a theory.
You know, Secretary
if you
of
rip
Defense for Ron
rip
Paul.
open Ron Paul's suit, you'll find one of the Romney sons actually. It's just a theory. It's just a theory.
Okay, got to turn now to Mary Madeline, Republican strategist. Weigh in, Mary.
Well, as the resident member in good standing of the vast right-wing conspiracy here, I have to say it was a great night for Mitt. He did everything he had to do. But it was a great night for Santorum, and it was a good night for Newt. Newt's the Truman Capote of politics. When he's good, he's very, very good, and when he's bad, he's very, very bad. He was very good tonight. And the notion that just because they haven't coalesced doesn't make the conservative, the desire for a conservative alternative to Mitt Romney dissipate. We do have a trajectory coming in, we have a trajectory going out, and that would be South Carolina, which has had less activity this cycle than any previous ones. They're waiting to see what happened in Iowa, which wasn't dispositive. They're going to wait to see what happened here. I think this puts it in a holding pattern for the moment in South Carolina, and I think that Mitt will win here, but if he doesn't win big, then this is a state that could be discounted because he does live here practically.
Mary, did Rick Santorum do enough tonight to continue his momentum coming out of Iowa and maybe even climb into second place?
Yes, I think he did. He needed to get past the perception that he's a one-dimensional candidate. He wants to be a full-spectrum conservative. He did that. He needed to show he was electable, experienced. He did that. He showed a full range of not just experience, but views and depth on foreign policy in particular. And he was quick on his feet. He was a fighter. I think he did everything he needed to do tonight, and but he needed to not so much attack Mitt as flesh out his candidacy. I would not be surprised if he's in the top three now.
Donna, what was the argument you heard tonight that as a Democrat gave you most pause?
First of all, as a Democrat, I cannot imagine a more exciting place to be on a Saturday night.
Even with the Saints playing.
With the Saints, who that? But look, there's no question. This was a battle for second place. And Rick Santorum understood that he had to come here, make a great showing tonight, remain competitive, but the next stop is South Carolina, where he has to beat Rick Perry, get rid of Newt Gingrich. Tonight was Ron Paul's opportunity, I also thought, to really show that he has not only some knowledge of the issues, but he's also going to remain in this race. Mitt Romney won tonight because no one touched him. And for Democrats, you know what? It was good news for us.
Why is that?
Because we believe that the weakest candidate is a candidate that the Republicans are not attacking, and that's Mitt Romney.
Oh, come on.
No, you don't believe that, Donna.
Donna.
I told you this was a fun place to be.